Hey guys, coming to another movie review, guys, and this movie reviewing, I was really looking forward to this movie from the trailers and things like that, but I was also a bit worried because it's another part of the whole nostalgia dump we've been getting from like the 80s and 90s, but this one actually looked pretty good, and that movie is Pee-wee's Big Holiday. Now, prior to Pee-wee's Big Holiday, like I said, I was really looking forward to this movie for a couple of reasons. One, I mean, I did watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure back in the day. I remember when I was younger, I can't remember, probably like 5 to 6 years ago. I remember I rented it from my library. I watched it. Pretty good movie. I probably want to watch it again. I don't really remember it that much, but of course I remember the scene. That da 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 da. Everyone remembers that. But the thing I watched the most of Pee Wee, and I haven't seen Pee Wee's Playhouse either. I know it's a very weird intro. I know that. But I haven't seen actual episodes of Pee Wee's Playhouse. What I did see a lot of was that thing on HBO they did, the Pee Wee Herman show, where it was like the Broadway production. They brought it to HBO. I watched that thing consistently. I wouldn't say I'm an avid Pee Wee fan, but I'm well aware of the character of Pee Wee, and I have enjoyed a lot of what I've seen. So for the most part, I was really looking forward to this movie. Also knowing Judd Apatow wasn't bored. I mean, this really seemed like they were trying to put enough care into this to make it the best movie it could possibly be. And overall, do I think they succeed? Pee-wee's Big Holiday, I think, is a very fun movie. I overall really enjoyed it, and there's a lot to really like about it. Is it perfect? No. There are definitely some problems with which I will get into, but overall, I think it's a lot better than a lot of these nostalgic dump things we've been getting, which I'll get into. But basically, the plot of Pee-wee's Big Holiday is really simple. It's a very simple plot. Basically, Pee-wee, we realize, has never left this town. He lives in this town. I think it's called, I can't remember what it's called, but Fairville. He lives in Fairville, this one town. He's never really gone anywhere. He works in this diner. He has this band, and things just don't seem to be going right. The band's breaking up. He's kind of in this position in the diner, and he's kind of all on his own because everyone's kind of going their separate ways. And basically, one day he meets Joe Magnello. We don't know why. It's just out of nowhere. Joe Magnello comes into the restaurant, and instantly these two form a connection. But basically, Joe Magnello convinces Pee Wee to go on his first vacation to New York to celebrate his birthday party. And basically, that's exactly what Pee Wee decides to do. So the rest of the movie is pretty much a road trip movie with Pee Wee trying to get to New York, but encounters some obstacles along the way. And that's basically a plot of Pee Wee's Big Holiday. And like I said, there's a lot to really like about this movie. Mainly the cast. I think the cast is really the thing that makes this so great, especially Paul Reubens. I mean, after everything that this man has been through, I mean, we all remember what happened with Pee Wee when he was caught, like, we all remember Paul Reubens, the whole, like, jerking off in a movie theater situation. I mean, that's always going to be there, and people will always remember that. But the thing is, he is just perfect as Pee Wee. He embodies this character so well. The fact that he can still play this character after so many years, he still does a great job. And Paul Reubens, I mean, I've seen him in some stuff here and there. I know he was in Gotham, things like that. But Pee Wee really is his role. I mean, Paul Reubens, do we really think of Paul Reubens as Paul Reubens? No, we think of him as Pee Wee Herman, and he does that character so well. The quirkiness, the childlike nature, the whimsical sort of, feeling that Pee-wee always has with everything. I love the character of Pee-wee in this movie. He's a lot of fun to watch, and you really feel like, you like Pee-wee during this movie. You're discovering all these things, you're seeing all these weird things, but the way that Pee-wee looks at life is very fun. I thought he did a really great job, and I didn't ever think he went too over the top. Like, it seemed like he knows this character. He knows what works with this character and what doesn't work, and I think he really did that very well. Pee-wee's one of those characters, though, where it's kind of like go big or go home, and I think he did that perfectly. I really think he portrayed it to his fullest potential, and definitely, without a doubt, Paul Reubens makes this movie. If Pee Wee Herman was not in this movie, I mean, this movie would not be that as great as it is, but I think he really did a great job. I definitely really enjoyed his character. I mean, obviously, Pee Wee Herman's a great character, and I thought that he was a lot of fun. And I can understand if people find him annoying, but I don't know, I feel like he wasn't too annoying in this one. I feel like they just represented all the good aspects about Pee Wee and made him as, fun as possible, not annoying as possible. Because, there's a difference between annoying and funny, and I think this movie understands annoyingly funny rather than, funnily annoying, kind of. That's definitely how I saw it with Pee-wee. I like that about his character, and he did a very good job. And Joe Magnello as well, I thought he was really good. I mean, this is one of those things where he could have felt very out of place or just like a random guest star, but no, it worked really well. Like, you understand that he really wants Pee-wee to experience something. He wants him to open up his horizons horizons. He wants him to do some rebellious things and just not be as clean as he really is, because he sees that childlike nature in Pee-wee, which of course he admires, but he wants Pee-wee to do something with his life. He wants him to do something that doesn't involve being in Fairville, and I like seeing that. The bonding between these two is great. I love it they hit it off right away, and there's a great scene in the very beginning where they're saying the same exact thing, and there are certain dream sequences as well. I overall really like the bonding between these two. It was very fun, and they're not that different in the movie as well. Like, Joe Manganiello, like, you do see that he's very much like Pee-wee, and Pee-wee's a lot like Joe Manganiello, and I definitely really enjoyed that. I honestly would like to see them do something else here, because they worked really well in this, and it was a lot of fun to watch, definitely. Who I also really liked were these three group of girls that Pee-wee encounters that are, like, the bad guys in the movie. Not really the bad guys, but, like, they're kind of like the criminals that he first encounters. Jessica Pooley is Pepper, Aaliyah Schwakat as Bella, whose surname is also Pee-wee, and Stephanie Beatrice as Freckles. I thought these three worked very well. They really understood the quirky nature of the movie, and I thought they worked really well. The rest of the cast I thought was very good. I can't say too much about the rest of the cast because they're all kind of there for little cameos, and I think everyone, for the most part, did a really good job. They all really had fun with it. You can tell they all were having a lot of fun. They all got to play these really ridiculous roles, but when you sign up for a Pee-wee movie, you need to know what you're getting into, and I think all these actors really just wanted to make a fun movie. Like, they didn't want to make anything amazing. They're not trying to make the next, they're not trying to make the next, like, Gone with the Wind or anything. They're trying to make something fun, and that's exactly what they did. They made it fun, and I definitely really enjoyed that. The directing here by John Lee, I thought was really good. It felt like a Pee-wee movie. It's exactly how it should feel. I thought the tone was very good. I did think it got a little bit too much at times, but I thought it was also really heartwarming at times. Like, the movie does go in some heartwarming directions, and there are some scenes that aren't necessarily heartbreaking, but there are some scenes where you just go, "Aw," at the screen, because it's cute. I mean, honestly, like I said, Pee-wee's like a little child, and you really see that, and it's kind of like when you see a little child interact with a grown-up. It's very much how you see when Pee-wee interacts with a grown-up. It's very fun to watch. I definitely really enjoyed it. I think the tone was just very lighthearted, and I really enjoyed that. And it's definitely a movie that you want to watch with your kids. It's a great watch. I definitely will say that. That's definitely one of those it's definitely one of those kind of movies, and I think they really understood that. But I think it also had some good stuff. A good nostalgia. But the thing I did notice is that there's not a lot of nostalgia in this movie. Like, some of the things you might expect Pee-wee to do, like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, not really in this movie. There are catchphrases, obviously, that Pee-wee has, like when he says fudge instead of fuck and things like that. There are those kind of things. But there's nothing specifically from the other movies that carries over to this. And that's something I thought was well done. They tried to make this something of its own. They didn't try to follow, just do what Fuller House did, where they directly stated lines that they said all these years ago. No, they made it think, okay, Pee-wee's kind of grown up, but he's still the same person that he is, but he's not going to say the same exact things he said back in, like, the 80s. It just wouldn't make as much sense now, and I think they really did a good job with that. The writing, for me, is my only issue with this movie. I did think at times the movie did jump around too many times. I mean, there are many times in this movie, just like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, where Pee-wee will stop somewhere to get to get close to New York, and he'll meet some friends, and I felt like some of them, there weren't as much time spent with them. Like, there's this one point where he goes to this Amish, commune, basically. He goes to this Amish town where everyone's Amish, and I just didn't feel we really had enough time with them, because we spent so much time on these other storylines that were definitely fun. Like, there is one where he encounters this farmer and who has like 20 daughters, and he ends up marrying one of them, and the way he got out of these situations I thought were very fun. I kind of wanted a little bit more, though. Like, I wanted something bad to happen, not necessarily bad, but I wanted a little bit more consequence, and I think that would have been a little bit more fun if we saw that, like, kind of a scene with Joe Manganiello being like, all right, you went too far, because Joe Manganiello tells him, to do something rebellious and to just break some rules. But I would have liked if he sat down and said, "You went too far," or something like that. And there really wasn't anything like that. I understand it was supposed to be a fun movie, and that's really what it was supposed to be, but I kind of wanted just a little bit more context into some of the decisions that Pee-wee made. I just felt some of them, he got out of a little bit too easily, and I understand, obviously, we want to root for Pee-wee, we want him to get to New York, but I just thought some of the situations he did get out of a little bit, too easily, and I didn't feel the comedy was as consistent. Like, definitely it was funny, but I feel this is one of those movies where kids will laugh more than adults will laugh, and there is some very funny stuff in there, don't get me wrong. There were some very funny scenes, but there's a lot of slapstick comedy. And if you guys are not a fan of slapstick comedy, you're not going to like this movie. I'm going to tell you that right now, because I know there are a lot of people that don't like slapstick comedy, don't like that kind. And that's the thing with Pee-wee. You have to know you're getting into that. You have to know there's going to be weird scenes. I mean, the first scene in general really shows you what kind of movie this is going to be. And let me tell you, it's a great first scene. I thought the first scene was very well done the way they did it. But again, I knew what I was getting into because I know how Pee-wee is. I know, how Pee-wee is as a character, what the kind of the humor it is. So I wasn't really surprised by that. But if you guys have never seen anything from Pee-wee, do not watch this, because you probably should be a little bit more well-rounded in what Pee-wee's humor is like, what his kind of brand is like, just because if you go into it thinking this is going to be a really subtle movie, no, it is not subtle at all. Everything's in your face, and I thought they did that well. That's just Pee-wee's brand, and it worked well that way. The cinematography I thought was very well done. They did not half-ass it at all. There's some really crazy scenes and some really crazy things. There is, in fact, you guys know Large Marge from Pee-wee's Big Adventure? There are about 4 times that happens in this movie, and it's hilarious. All 4 times thought worked very well, and that's something I thought they did well in this movie, where the recurring jokes, like there's a part where Pee-wee will get this very high-pitched girlish scream. I laughed every time. They worked it very well, and they didn't just make it seem like, oh, we're just going to tell this joke over and over again because we're running out of jokes. No, they just keep the jokes moving. This is a movie where the jokes are consistent, and a lot of times they work very well. There's also a musical number in here, which you have to think you're getting into that when you see a Pee-wee movie. That's just something that, you see a Pee-wee movie, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a musical number. I thought they did that really well. And the music as well. It was great to have that music back. You really felt like this was a Tim Burton movie. I mean, the way it was constructed, even though it wasn't Tim Burton, you did feel it was a Tim Burton movie. I didn't really get the Judd Apatow feel here. I knew Judd Apatow produced this movie, but I don't know. I didn't get that Judd Apatow feel. Some of it I did. Some of the jokes I definitely could tell, all right, that's Judd Apatow being ridiculous and things like that. Because, Judd Apatow is very indie-like humor, and it didn't really, I didn't really see any of his humor. Definitely felt more like Paul Reubens than a Pete, which is good. I'm not upset about that. I'm just saying Judd Apatow, I don't really felt has much of a voice in this movie, and didn't really have as much to do with many of the scenes. He probably went to his kids and asked them for help too, because, they probably knew the character, so there's probably that as well. And I understand Paul Reubens obviously wanted to keep it as good as possible, which that's something else I like, is that Paul Reubens pretty much had full control here. He did a lot of the writing himself, and I'm very happy about that. And Judd Apatow's co-star of Love, Paul Rust, also wrote some of this, and he's actually in the movie as well, and I thought they did that well. Kind of like a package deal now, I guess. Paul Rust and Judd Apatow. This is the second thing they've done for Netflix, which is pretty funny, and I enjoyed that. And I thought the length was perfect. This movie flew by for me. I was into it the whole time, and the ending I really enjoyed. I like the way the movie ended. I thought it was a very strong ending. I thought it really worked out very well, and the movie is a very good message of just don't half-ass things. Try to do something significant with your life. Go on a big adventure. Go on a big trip. Don't just stay in this one confined space. Do something with your life productive, and you'll just feel better about yourself in the end, and I think that's very well handled the way they did that. So overall, guys, I really enjoyed Pee-wee's Big Holiday. I keep wanting to say Big Adventure because it sounds like Big Adventure, but it's Big Holiday. Like I said, I would advise you to watch Big Adventure first, or like at least the Pee-wee Herman Show, at least something of Pee-wee before you watch this movie. As long as it's not that smoking commercial, don't watch that. It's so stupid. Don't watch that. If anything but that, just watch before this, because you'll know what you're getting into. You'll know what Pee-wee's humor is like, and because of me really enjoying it, even though, like I said, some of the jokes didn't hit as well, overall, I really did enjoy it. I am going to give Pee-wee's Big Holiday a 4 out of 5 or a B+. I really enjoy this movie. It's a lot of fun. Probably one of the most fun times I've had watching a movie so far this year. I definitely would recommend it. And overall, guys, I know what you guys thought of Pee-wee's Big Holiday. If you have seen it, obviously, if you have Netflix, definitely check it out. But again, just know what you're getting into when you see it. And we'll see you guys next year, which will be for Better Call Saul. I'm going to review last week's episode and then tonight's episode, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.